and welcome to What Culture, where we're going to deliver you some news, which is why Star Wars keeps losing its directors. Now, Josh, this is Josh Brown,
Hello.
who's here. I'm Ash Millman, just to introduce ourselves. What would you say if I told you that Star Wars keeps losing directors, has a real problem? What do you think the cause is?
I would say that's an understatement because the Star Wars franchise goes through, directors like I go through cans of hairspray. And I have no idea what the cause is, Ash, but I'm hoping you can tell me because it keeps happening and they need to sort it out.
Well, with a title like Why Star Wars Keeps Losing Directors, you'd hope that I would. And I can. And I can, with my handy notes right here. Right, so basically, just to run through the problems that Star Wars has had, we'll give you a bit of context. So we had Gareth Edwards, who had obstacles with Rogue One, and Tony Gilroy came in for that instead. So that was one film that had a problem. We then had Solo, where Ron Howard replaces Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. So that was another problem with more directors stepping in. We had J.J. Abrams filling Colin Trevorrow's spot on The Rise of Skywalker, so he's come in. That's another one that had problems. And also David Benioff and D.B. Weiss are the ones that stepped away in the first place to allow that to happen.
I wasn't counting there, but that's a lot of problems.
There's at least 3 films that have had problems, and at least 3 films in this new era of Star Wars that have required directors, basically.
Which is so funny, because one of the productions that didn't actually have any problems with was The Last Jedi, and look how that turned out. I love it, but it is so divisive, and a lot of people do not. So to me, it's very ironic that the one movie that went smooth sailing production-wise turned out to be the one that was perhaps the most iffy.
Yes, we don't talk about that here in this. We're going to talk about Kathleen Kennedy instead, who is the president of Lucasfilm and the one that's taken over for this new series of films. And she's basically come out and said why there is this big director problem with Star Wars. And she had an interview with Rolling Stone, had a big conversation with them, and I have a big chunk of quotes as to why that could be, which we can discuss and see if that's what we think the real problem is with directors in Star Wars.
Come on.
But put simply, there's a difficulty as there's no source material. She says, every one of these movies is a particularly hard nut to crack. There's no source material, we don't have comic books, we don't have 800-page novels. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers who get together and talk about what the next iteration might be. So, that is going to be an issue because they don't have anything to draw from, and it's people's imaginations that end up doing things, as we learned from Rian Johnson's movie and the reaction to that. So, that's one of the issues. She also said that there's a very small list of people that can be trusted with the Star Wars lore and universe.
Yes.
So she said that she is after people who really do have the sensibilities about these kinds of movies and then the experience and the ability to handle how enormous a job these movies are. They are enormous jobs.
They are ridiculously enormous.
Yeah. And basically finished up with saying that people take on these massive jobs because they want to and then realise that things go wrong and that the things are going to change and then walk away from it. This is the most important one. So we try to be as thoughtful as we possibly can about making those choices. I would also argue that sometimes people get involved in the normal development process and then they realise, oh my God, this is so much more than I ever imagined. So it's pretty common that when you're working on movies, you're not making choices and decisions that necessarily work out exactly the way you want from the get-go.
100%. The thing with Star Wars is, in my eyes, it's always been kind of a paradox because, like Kathleen Kennedy mentioned, you have nothing to draw on, and yet there is such a distinct, properly fully formed idea of what Star Wars is, and fans hold that dearly. There is a framework, I think, that you have to work within, and yet we don't just want the same thing over and over again. You do need ideas and bold, creative choices. But those things often conflict, and it's hard to find directors who can balance that well. I would argue perhaps there isn't a director who can actually do it. There's always going to be faults somewhere. And at the same time, at least at the start of the decade anyway, when this deal first went down, you had so many directors who wouldn't jump at the chance to direct a new Star Wars movie. But everyone, like I said, has their own idea of what Star Wars is, so that doesn't always translate with what Lucasfilm or Kathleen Kennedy, views as what Star Wars. Yes, I've said that a lot, but I think it's pertinent.
Absolutely, though. Like your point earlier, basically, even George Lucas doesn't know what he wants Star Wars to be. He keeps going back and making his changes. So, I don't know how they can expect a new wave of directors to be able to take that on and do it perfectly. There is such a demanding fan base for Star Wars, as in, they know this world, they have lived in it, they have breathed it, they know what they want from a film, but directors can't always tap into that. So I would be very intimidated.
Yeah.
If I was given a Star Wars film to direct, I would be very intimidated by it. It's these people who have years of experience and knowledge and wealth of things at their disposal still don't necessarily have the tools to do it, even with all of the tools, which is a paradox in itself.
This might sound ridiculous and perhaps, a bit silly, but I think it's quite brave to take on a Star Wars project because you are facing such ridiculous expectations, and the people who work on these movies obviously love Star Wars.
Yes.
So many people love Star Wars, and yet the burden of what you have to deliver is crazy, and I don't think I could hack the pressure, if I'm being honest.
Oh no, 100%, but basically, in short, they keep losing directors because Star Wars is a big franchise with no source material, which is what I guess you would have guessed in the first place.
Thank you for cleaning that up, Kathleen.
But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy has seen it, she knows it, she tells it again. Thank you, Kathleen Kennedy, you're a star. But basically, yes, this has been Josh, I've been Ash, this has been What Culture, and we've delivered you some news. You can catch us on social media at
Josh Broom with 2 O's.
You can hash me at Ash Millman. Oh my god, I really struggle with the ats, like at Ash.
At Ash.
But yes, you can find us there. You can find What Culture at What Culture as well. So please catch up with us there. And yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you think about directors of Star Wars, not The Last Jedi. Not The Last Jedi.
Not The Last Jedi.
Oh my god.
No.
I'm getting overwhelmed here with all of the Star Wars stuff. We don't want to get into that rabbit hole. But yeah, so let us know what you think. The problem is, what you think of the problem Kathleen Kennedy has said, and we will see you again soon.
See ya.